you guys in.
Ready? Okay. All right, the Commissioners Court will meet in the workshop session July 6th, 9:45, Brazos County Administration Building, 200 South Texas Avenue, Suite 106. First item is call to order, and the second is discussion of all new positions requested in the 2022-23 proposed budget.
Do y'all want to tackle the expo changes first, or do you want to tackle more prioritization of the new positions? We left expo kind of in limbo because we weren't exactly sure what was going to happen. If you look on the screen, we have increases. One of the requests by expo is increases to the facility operations assistants. It moves one position to a step 6 and the other 3 positions to a step 4. So they would all be, the budget would all be the same, except for one at 12.6 and the other 3 at a step 4. At a cost of $8,952. Do we remember why? I don't think Lonnie's here. Okay, wrong kid.
It was because of the pay. It's hard to hire good people at a certain, at the pay that it was budgeted at. So you wanted to increase those positions to a little higher pay to receive more applicants.
Yeah, they got 12 positions open.
And then the next one is the temporary positions to full-time, but not all of them. Basically reducing all the temps to full-time.
Right.
And I knew, because there was questions, I took them all off and figured we'd talk about them again to make sure that we're okay, because there's also 2 requests in the new position area. One to increase a part-time position to full-time, and the other one to increase, to add the position and budget the benefits, but not budget the salary. If we determined during the year that we needed to go ahead and hire somebody in that position, then money would be moved from contingency to do it. Yeah, I see you, Judge. I don't see anybody else giving me direction. Or questions.
We have questions. No questions.
We've been over this request before.
Okay. Then we're okay at the expo.
With these things that you just discussed.
Yeah.
Okay. Put those, so now the reclassifications. Oh, okay, we gotta talk about some others. Justice of the Peace did an analysis, just looking at it. Let's see if I can do this. Commissioner's salary. Commissioners Court has decided that their members will take a 0, no cost of living, and no merit for their positions, which will make their salaries the same of $87,912. The Justice of the Peace with the the elected officials with the 7.5% COLA would be $87,387. I went ahead and calculated the difference of $525. I don't know if y'all want to do that, plus benefits is $657 apiece. We had taken them out totally because they'll be very, very close to Commissioner's Court salary, but in the interest of fairness, or the interest of full disclosure, I wanted you to know what the difference would be between the JP salaries and the Commissioner's salaries, which is what they had requested to begin with.
I mean, I don't see any reason why not to bump them up that extra, whatever, $500 and something dollars, and make them the same.
Okay.
And I would think, I mean, I know it may be coming up, but the constables also probably, I mean, right now, JPs and constables make the same thing. It would seem logical to me, if we're going to do that, that we just bump the constables to the same thing, and they'd make the same thing that commissioners do.
Constables are a little bit different because one did not request an increase. And you'll notice that did not request, Justice of the Peace Precinct 4 did not request an increase. But I went ahead and put it in here so
Yeah.
that they stay the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I made an
I don't see a
assumption.
reason.
I wouldn't
to-
want one, I wouldn't want one JP being
No,
odd out,
but-
odd person out.
Yeah,
Okay.
keep them all the
We'll
same.
talk about the constables here in a little bit. Or do you want to go ahead and go to those?
I mean, I'm okay with going to that if you want to, because that's, I mean, I think that's where we ought to be personally. That's.
And I printed them.
Constable JPs and commissioners make
Yeah.
the same.
Mhm.
Did a comparison on the constables. Take one down, pass it around. So it's on the screen, but it's also coming your way. Constable Precinct 1. All the constables want to move their clerks to administrative assistants. They currently have varying budgeted positions. That doesn't mean that's what they're making. Total, so Constable 1 increased the clerk to administrative assistant, and then chief deputy by 5%. Again, it's the position budget. Deputy 1, 2, and 3. This current tells you what the position budget is right now versus what it'll be with the 7.5, and then what they've requested. I also added a column, the increase over the 7.5% COLA. So for Constable 1, it'd be an additional $37,775. For salaries with benefits, it's $47,227. Their merit allocation is $3,899. Constable 1 requested an increase over and above what the JPs have requested, except for Constable 2. I think I gave them all to them. Some of the constables. I think I gave it all to them. Yeah. That's 7. 2 Anybody, any questions or comments or thoughts?
Yeah, on the deputies, all the constables want their deputies, other than their chief deputies, to all make the same,
Yes, ma'am.
and they're recommending 73. Can we just do that a flat 70? That's
Sure.
an increase for everybody, but not,
They're on group and step, and so we need to keep it on the group and step. So we could decrease, a couple steps to make it as close to 70 if you like, but it might be like 69.
Yeah, it does need to be on group and step.
yeah, so
if
do
it's
group
close,
and step to get them to 70?
Around 70 for the deputies.
Yeah, all the deputies.
Any other directions? Or things you want analyzed, considered?
well, I mean, again, on the elected officials, I would set them the same thing that commissioners, JPs, I realize they're asking for more, but that's where I'd set them, is what the commissioners.
Well, that means that the district clerk and
Well,
county clerk are going to be making 93 or 4.
right. Of course, they are elected countywide.
Yeah,
The JPs, constables, and commissioners are elected out of precincts, so
Yeah.
you've got a countywide.
I'm okay with that.
So you said constables, elected officials, constables, the same as the justice of the peace?
I mean,
that we
that's what
just
I would
talked
suggest.
about? And then the deputies at 70?
Or they're
The step
on a
that's
group
closest.
step that's.
What
that's
about the
close.
chief deputies?
think, you know, around 75, maybe whatever the next one is above 75, group and step.
For deputies?
Chief deputy.
Chief deputy.
Oh, chief
Chief deputy.
deputies. Before
pre-
COLA or,
and
before COLA
chief.
or with COLA?
Okay, but at the,
If we're talking about what, all these others at with COLA, then I'd say
Okay.
with COLA.
Okay, well then, you've got a chief deputy that's gonna be making more than 75 with the COLA, with his current salary.
Mm.
Precinct 3.
Yeah.
For the chief deputy, they'll be around group 25, step 5.
What about the deputies?
For the for the deputies,
Around 7.
yeah, the constable 3 is the only one that is different than the other 3.
Yeah.
And it's at 82,992. It's a,
Well, that's what they've requested.
What's the,
For the deputies, at a group 22, step 8, it'll be around $69,784. At a step 9, it throws it over 71,000. So would you prefer a step
8?
8?
well, it's closer to what the request is if we go above, one step above 70,000.
That'd be 71,000.
Right.
71,000 number.
Yeah.
So you want to do 9 or 8?
My preference would be 9. Then put him at 71, you said what?
71,532.
Yeah.
Before the COLA? Or
This
with-
is after the
After
After
the
the COLA. I'll concur with that. 71,532.
Yeah, but that gives the chief deputy in 3 more than, less than what he's currently making.
I think y'all are talking about deputies right now, correct? You're talking about, not
Yeah.
chief deputy, you're talking
Oh,
about deputies.
deputies.
Yeah, just deputy positions. They've
Okay.
requested to go to what we put them at, 73,341.
Yeah, so the
Your
71 is
recommendation
okay.
was
Yeah.
70. 71, I think.
532 is the number you're discussing.
Yeah, that's fine.
Alright. So we got.
Let's see what they
Okay.
look at step 9. Oh, we're looking-
Okay.
Okay.
Y'all want me to bring it back, right? I mean, it's all gets
Yeah,
brought back.
This is all going into the pot.
Yes. And then you want the elected constables to be the same as the Justice of the Peace, which is 87,912. Yes, you will have a problem because the district clerk and county treasurer and county clerk with the 7.5 will be at 87,387.
They're all elected countywide.
Yes. They would be making less than the constables and the JPs.
Well, they need to
By
be
that
making the same.
500, 600 and something dollars.
Even with the COLA?
Yes.
Yes.
Because
I don't think so.
No, I
I
think
don't
they're
think
making the
so.
same as the commissioners now.
They're
yes,
making.
but they didn't give it up.
Yeah, they make the same as commissioners right now. If they get the 7.5, then theirs will be more.
They'll
than-
be at
90 something.
yes. Yes, you're right. Sorry.
94,504.
94,504. And that's what you want.
I mean, they are elected
So
countywide.
they'll still be
That-
more. And then, okay. But do you want to do the constables at the same as the JPs?
I mean, that's what I think.
It's only $657 a piece. So okay.
Did we
Yes.
ever decide about the chief deputy? Because now you brought the deputies up to 71 something, so maybe it should be whatever that see what is close to 75, but get above it.
So 25.6.
Yep.
Yeah,
you
the
got-
request put
you
them
got-
all at
you
78,
got one-
999 except
One
for
at 77 or
precinct
something
3.
with 7.5.
No, that, yeah, it goes to 77.
So maybe you ought to look at 70, whatever that, right now it's precinct 3 with 7.5. COLA will get 77,044. So see where that's at, and maybe all the
77.
chief,
25.7 is the 77,044.
so that's probably where the chief deputies ought to be. That would be with,
Just for number's sake, I have them up there. So,
and I mean, that would be budgeted, you know, what's in the budget. I mean, they don't have to
and they may not make.
put them at that step if they're not maybe to the same knowledge, but that would at least give the budgets the same for each one of the departments where they can.
Okay.
Say he's getting more than me.
Okay, we'll
And
put
then the
those
one
numbers
deputy
in.
just gets the 7.5 and doesn't get an additional bump up, which is okay.
Okay. And then one other one y'all had a question about was the
Okay, so did,
oops, I'm sorry.
one thing I did want, okay, on the chief deputies, have we addressed the inequality between chief deputy 3 that was requested and the others?
Commissioner Aldridge, we're gonna put all of them up at the 77,044, so Chief Deputy and 3 will just get the 7.5% COLA, won't get any additional bump.
Okay.
And then everybody else will be making, all chief deputies will be making the 77,044.
We budgeted it that way. They probably will pay them that, but
Are we gonna leave the clerks that requested?
who's,
Are we reclassifying the clerks to administrative assistants?
Yeah, that's okay with me.
And they're varying. The request is all the same though.
Yeah,
Okay. Commissioner Aldridge? Okay, we'll put that in there. And then one other thing that y'all wanted to know more information from the last workshop was the investigator increase, the request by the district attorney to request an increase one investigator position. Determined that it was a position that was created in FY 21-22 with a budget of $60,000. However, most of the other investigators in that office make around 73 to 74. The request was to the 7.5% raises the investigator to 64,501 position. They want to increase it by an additional $13,126 with benefits to get them up to the.
How many investigators do we have at the DA's office? 4? So there are 3 making 75,000?
Yes.
77,000.
This will still put that position at the lowest one,
Yeah.
but it'll be above 70, I think. Yes. More in line with the other 3.
is that the newest investigator?
Yes, ma'am. However, his experience is commensurate with the others.
Sometimes we start them at lower because we don't know what we'll get if you don't need it.
I'm okay with that.
okay.
What is that? 13.26. Okay, now down to additional positions. We still have the creation of another assistant for the probate guardianship activities in the county courts at law. And you've prioritized the district attorney positions as we want to go ahead and try to get the grant and budget the rest of them in the general fund. Okay. Now we're down to other ones. I did find out, on the grant writer in my office, I was a little concerned because I don't know how to do that. I mean, I did not want to be short-sighted. I didn't want to add a position if it's not going to get anything done. Anyway, so we did some more research. We found out we can't really contract it out without, at this time, but that I also started looking and I haven't talked to him yet, but I also talked to the consultant that we have. And I think it looks like maybe we can try to do it with a position. And because we can't, contracting out, it's going to be hard for anybody with the experience. So I'm going to try and fail, I'm sure, this first one before I even hire a grant writer. I know, I'm setting expectations.
Well,
So and because it's all narrative, so you never know.
Katie, is that the $110,000 position, or is that something else?
That's the 110. That's with benefits. I had put it as a low priority because I wasn't sure,
Yep.
but it doesn't look like contracting out is going to do us do what we want.
Budget offices has a vacant position, plus so much of the infrastructure bill funding and everything is grant oriented, just a whole bunch of it, and I would like to see us have the opportunity. This this may be a position that my hope would be is could pay for itself in acquiring grants for us, and since there's I don't know if we can find somebody with the experience that we want to at that point, but I think that this could be a investment in a staff person that could bring back money to the county, particularly with relative to what our district, what our county engineer said yesterday is about if we're looking for if you can find other ways when we're talking about capital roads was not there, the $100 million of revolving needs that were there, but if we could have this person find some of that money on that behalf, I think I think it's worth taking a shot at, in my opinion.
Yeah, I contacted TTI to see if they contract out. They do not. They came back and mentioned a couple of names for us for possible grant writers. Didn't know anything about their availability, but just
Figured maybe we could try and have them review it. Is what I thought I'd ask.
Yeah,
I think it's a position that if we put it on, we've got a good probability of them bringing back what we're paying them to do, plus maybe even more. And I'd like to be available and ready to. I mean, some of the stuff in the Infrastructure and Jobs Responsibility Act, that stuff's already being put out there as available.
There's one for bridges open until July 25th. I'm going to try to get it. Like I said, first failure. Can't hurt.
yeah,
That's my thought.
yeah. I think we should go for it. I guess, as you said, there's grant money out there, and if this grant writer can get us some, the position should pay for itself.
That would be my hope.
Yeah. Mine too.
Okay. We have not prioritized the district attorney positions, 2 new positions, one for pretrial diversion and intake, and one for juvenile prosecutor. We have not prioritized Justice of the Peace Precinct 2 and 3. I heard some positive on JP3, so I don't know if y'all want what y'all want to do, how you want to prioritize that. We also didn't we got priority from the sheriff's office and the jail with regards to their new positions. The sheriff's office, as I mentioned yesterday, has prioritized the 4 new patrol and the 1 new support service deputy as their highest priority. Unfortunately, we're not aware that we're not sure that we will get any cars if we order them at this time. The Chief Deputy Sheriff is here to answer any questions about the plan if we don't get the car.
Yeah, I'd like to hear from the chief.
To clarify, you prioritize 5 positions
Yes.
out of
Yes.
this request of 7?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. We do have a plan in place, but just to give you a little background on the process, if granted these positions, you're looking at about a month just to hire and go through the background checks, and then you're looking at an 18 to 20 week FTO program where they're actually doubled up with their FTO officer. So we're going to account for that time. We're looking at an additional 4 months, and I understand we're in a difficult situation right now. We do have a pool of what we call reserve cars, which we typically keep on standby for emergencies and for our reserve deputies. Taking that into account and the fact that I have a supervisor who's willing to part with his until those cars become available, that is our plan as we go from now. So.
I concur with the 5 positions. I think it's the right thing to do is to give the sheriff's department that leeway to make their own decision where they need help.
That's a lot of positions.
It's a lot,
Yeah.
They're also receiving, or they're applying for a grant that's gonna add additional, I think, 2 more positions if if it's awarded, another investigator and I think another patrol.
2 investigators.
2 investigators, so that's additional vehicles that will go along with it if it's awarded. So that would be a total 7 positions.
How many positions did you get last year?
I believe it was 1 courthouse. 1 courthouse deputy.
5 new positions is a lot.
it is.
They have asked for another courthouse person also at the bottom.
Last year we'd asked for 2 courthouse deputies, received 1.
Here's a strange question for you.
And you have 4 open positions right now, 4 open deputy positions?
Do we? No, ma'am.
You have an investigator position open. What else do you have open?
We have 1 deputy position that's open right now.
There's just concern about being able to find people, funding it and not being able to find people.
And we are in the process of, we just closed the patrol position of Friday. So I think we had 6 applicants that applied. So we're in that process now of doing personal history statements and then doing the interviews and background checks.
Will it probably exasperate the problem in the jail, filling that position?
It's hard to say because we open it up to external and internal.
Okay. And then a question that popped into my head, how many, I don't know that you'll know this, how many homes out in the rooftops out in the county?
It's in
I
a
know
house
we had an
visit.
increase, but I don't remember.
400 additional.
It's like 360.
There he is,
Yeah.
360. How many before that addition? Because you see where I'm going?
Courthouse.
You see where I'm going? So if we had 12 deputies in this many rooftops, then
That was just for
what's the-
2021 also. So we haven't even taken into account 2022.
Right.
Well, adding that many positions is a pretty big step. I mean, I don't doubt the need's there, but that's a pretty big step, I think, for us to add on. In addition, I mean, we've already committed, I think, to do 7.5% COLA, and there's a huge increase in the budget. So, I mean, I would try to, I think maybe 2 positions would be what I could support. I mean, I don't know where your priority, if you're just looking at two, where it'd be. I mean, I thought it would be maybe patrol and courthouse security. But I don't know. I don't know whether, if it's limited to two, what y'all's priority would be with that. But, I mean, that's what I feel like I could support was.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
And the reason we asked for 4 is because we have 4 shifts. And I think in our presentation that we provided earlier on is the fact that we look at the numbers and we're running at bare minimum with 3. There's 4 to a shift. So if you have somebody on vacation and someone unexpectedly call in, you're below that minimum already. I don't know that we have the stats anymore, but Lieutenant House provided those in his initial presentation. So that was the reason for asking for 4, so we could have even shifts.
2 patrol?
I don't know where your priority is, as far as if you only get 2, where that priority, whether to be patrol or whether, courthouse security would be a higher priority. 1 for courthouse security. I don't know. I mean, I
think we just have to take into account the growth within the community, population increase, rooftops,
Okay.
and focus more on that.
Patrol. Need it in regular words.
Yes.
I feel like you do a great job for us, but I also feel like the Sheriff's Department is understaffed, and I think we're sort of sitting on a time bomb here because we don't have as much crime as some of the other counties, even counties surrounding us. Saying that you're doing a good job, but if we let the crime get ahead of us, then we've got a huge
behind.
issue. Yeah, we're behind at that point. And I will say this: I know this court has sort of a long-standing deal of giving the Sheriff's Department less than what they're asking for. So I'm going to ask very strongly that we do at least more than 2 positions, that we try to give you closer to what you're asking for.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, the total positions, including the courthouse security, is that you requested is 12. Is 12? Is that right?
Sir?
No.
The total positions you've requested, including the
Yes.
courthouse security, is 12.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And we've got a investigator position, which was one of the 7, and a deputy that are not there. You would need to fill those positions in addition to having the additional personnel.
The investigator is just a reclassification.
Okay, but I'm looking at the open positions that you have. You've got an open position as an investigator and an open position as a patrol deputy.
Correct.
Okay, and my question is if we add those 2 people, you say the request is still in addition to that for filling those people.
Correct.
Okay, and then we've got 21 detention officers, jail positions that are open. We talked about that before. Hopefully the increase in the 7.5% COLA plus, I guess you get merit on all those positions, even though those 46 positions are not filled, right?
Yes.
You still accrue
Yes.
merit for that?
Yes.
So that does give you a little bit of room to back up being able to make your adjustments in addition to what the COLA and the because merit is based on positions, not on actual employees, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I would think that my hope would be is with the 21 open positions for detention officer, that we'd be able to fill those positions and not have you there. But I mean, my thought would be is as far as what we're supposed to provide is safety and security for the community with the growth in the community, and I think a big part of that growth is happening in Precinct 1 and will continue to happen in Precinct 1. I'd like to see more of the orientation towards patrol than detention officers. And my hope would be is that the detention officer positions that are vacant, there are like 21 of them, that we could fill those, and then that would help out as far as the detention officer and give you the refresh for me my memory on the actual positions that were the jail positions.
There was 2 crisis intervention team members requested, new positions, another compliance officer, and another booking officer. And Kevin Stewart, with the jail administrator, has prioritized his positions as first the compliance officer and the booking officer before the CIT members.
So priority would be 2 of the 4 that they requested for the jail?
Yes.
Okay.
And from your current open positions, is there a way to, once we fill those positions, the ability within jail to be able to change folks, or do we need to have that funded as a open position and then fill it from within?
I don't feel comfortable commenting on the jail operations. I'm not that familiar
Okay.
with them.
Okay.
Come on over,
Well,
Lieutenant.
I know that the sheriff's office has they generally, for admin, hire from with, and this is mine, I don't work out there. So it's worth what I say. Nothing. They generally fill from within, and that's why I would say that there's more jailer positions, because it has a tendency to be entry level.
Right.
And then they fill from within. He's got the open positions. One of them, the patrol deputy, has closed, so they're going to start interviewing. And he has an investigator open position, correct?
Right, yeah, there's 3 booking, from the list we got here, there are 3 booking positions that are open.
And we're concerned that if we add another booking position, we may not be able to fill it. Is that where? Mark?
Can I clarify a little bit on those positions?
Yeah.
So that booking position is actually going to help out with all of the new laws that were added in the 87th for magistration and all of that stuff. So there was a bunch of new bond conditions and all those things that the JPs are having to deal with. I'm pretty sure you guys are aware of most of that stuff. In order for our end of that to work, we needed another position, because that currently one booking officer handles the magistration process and having the magistration court go in the morning. And then these additional duties and tasks that the legislature threw on, that's why we need that new person to help kind of manage that. He's currently, as is, you've only got one guy who really truly understands that process that's working it. He's out sick. If he gets hurt, any of that kind of stuff, you have nobody. So this is acting as a backup for that position, as well as taking on those new responsibilities. And I don't know exactly what all of them were, so I can't tell you that. But
Yeah.
it was a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, well, there were just 3. I was just curious because the positions, the investigator and the patrol deputy were
Yes.
open positions,
Yeah.
and then there were 3 that are booking in jail administration for the sheriff's office. And I was just, I mean, how long have those been open? Are we going to by making the increase in compensation that we've talked about here, what's the outlook for that? Because
I will tell you that Kevin Stewart did tell me that the COLA and the merit his request went way down because of that.
Correct.
And if that is not carried through, his request will come back at over quite a bit. So
it's
he feels like
1.2,
it's,
if I remember, it was
it's gonna help.
1.2 million.
And it dropped down to
Right.
311, I think.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm all for
I know
that.
he feels very strongly
So
about that.
the investigator position, that position's been selected.
So it's filled.
It's ready to, it's ready to
Okay.
move. It's just not done yet, which will ultimately, most of the time those positions open up patrol positions. So that's kind of more or less the starting position on the admin side. So it'll open up those patrol positions, which we have 6 applicants for. So patrol is a different, it's different to fill it. Yeah, it's a different beast, right? There's more. We're losing it, right? We don't have the number of people that used to want to do the job that do it that we used to. But it's not as bad as detention. Detention, those people are really disappearing, right? And so the people who want to take those positions. Patrol, I think, are easier to fill. They're longer because we have to go through all the training and all of that kind of stuff. But they are ultimately easier to fill those jobs than those entry-level detention officer jobs. Those are where we really struggle.
Yeah, and you say that on the additional positions for patrol, the reason the request for 4 is for that would be able, a minimum of 4 would give, there are 4 shifts, so you'd need 1 person per shift to add on.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm being from precinct 1 is very much rural. There's not going to be a bunch of annexation. I know that we work with our constables and we work with the city of College Station as well as far as that goes. But we can't depend upon stretching their resources into our area, and with the growth and development and rooftops that are happening in South College Station, particularly with its proximity to Houston, and where I think in talking with a lot of people, a lot of activities are coming up from into our community as far as that goes. I would be more, I would like to, fulfill the patrol request positions at 4, and the jail, the two positions, compliance and booking. I'm a little concerned about the booking situation being having as many positions open as you have.
So the booking position, again, that's not an entry-level position.
Right.
So we'll be able to pull. It does, of course, open an entry-level position at some point down the line.
Okay.
But
So
that's-
hopefully if we can fill a number of the open positions on detention officers, we'll be able to find qualified internal candidates for the booking to be able to get them to move into those positions. I mean, I know you're not speaking for chief, but that would be my thought. I mean, my request is let's go ahead and increase patrol, and if you do it, to do it effectively, whether we get cars or not, for you to be able to do that. I mean, run what you run, I guess. But I mean, increasing the amount of patrol that's taking place, I know for response in precinct 1 would certainly be preemptive, as Commissioner Ford had said. So that would be my thought.
I'm going to concur, Commissioner. I'm willing to go with 4 and 2, but I would like to remind the court that Commissioner Precinct 1 and Commissioner Precinct 2, you are our law enforcement out in the county, outside of the city limits. So my point being, patrol is very important. And as you say, as we continue to grow, we're going to see problems migrating from Houston up to Bryan College Station. So yeah, I think I can live with 4 and 2.
Thank you.
Do we have any other thoughts on the 2 jail positions, the booking and the compliance officer?
Yeah, that would be the 2.
That's the 2
think
that I
that's
was
the 2.
discussing, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really, I'm kind of tentative on that because, well, the compliance is a whole new deal from what you're saying. And every time the legislature meets, it's probably going to be more of a newer new deal. I'm not as concerned about the booking as I am because of the open positions that are there, and I'd like to see how. But we have to have that position open. You have to have that slot in the budget as a titled position to be able to move somebody into that, correct? Okay. Yeah, my thought would be 4 and 2. And I'd really like to put the emphasis more towards patrol.
How many new positions are we talking about creating with this, if we include the 4 and 2, for the whole
That we
county?
prioritized?
Yeah.
Give me a second.
The request was like
So it's
29.75
9.5. We're at,
on the list that I have here.
10.5. We're at 10.5.
Including these 6?
That's including the veteran services part-time position. It's including 2 IT people, grant writer, position in the county. Whoops, I might have missed those. 10. Let's see. It's 3.5. The county clerk is 4.5. The associate judge is 5.5. Plus 6 for jail and SO. That's 11.5. And county ag is another half, so we're at 12.
With,
Including this?
Including
4
4 patrol and 2 jail.
Yeah.
And that leaves what outstanding?
That leaves the district attorney, 2 positions, leaves justice of the peace precinct 2 and 3. The expo and emergency management and courthouse security.
Well, we're trying to do this in a no new tax way too, so I don't know that we can have our cake and eat it. There's no
Is there
question that
any
the
of
security of our constituents is the most important thing that we do. But I'm not sure we can afford 6 new people.
Is there any on the list that haven't been prioritized that you feel strongly about? The district attorney, 2 positions, JP2, JP3, 1 position each. Emergency management, expo, a part-time to a full-time, and an expo position. It's a new position, and we would only be funding the benefits if we create the position and fund the benefits, and if we're able to find the situation happens, we would move money from contingency. And then the courthouse security. Any of those more?
The expo going from the temporary to part-time, that needs to happen just
Yeah.
because that could get us into
Agreed.
some
Yeah.
issues. And that adding that one and not really funding it except for benefits, that makes sense to me because we.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to get it down to something I can remember.
But I think I know Brian is here. Maybe if you were familiar with the request that Jarvis has made, maybe you kind of refresh our memory because when Jarvis came in, I mean, it sounded like a logical reason for those requests, and so I'd like to kind of refresh our memory what those 2 positions that he requested. If you could kind of come up and tell us to. Did I put you on the spot?
No, sir, I'm ready. I can give you whatever
Okay.
you need. And I think it understanding is we all see that things are lean. Those 2 positions, in our opinion, I think at their base are kind of quality of living decisions, but understanding that if something needs to go, we prioritized the need to keep the people. I believe that's something that I don't want to let go of people in this. We're losing people and we're losing an experience. Juvenile, we're just seeing an increase in juvenile crime. I think if we look nationally, what we're seeing is that juvenile issues in juvenile are turning themselves into national media stories, right? So if we can do more early with juvenile offenders, which is what we're asking for this position in order for us to do, I think we may curb or find the mental health issues that we're all hoping we could determine early that don't turn into 4th of July parades. So we feel like that's an area that we very much could use. We can do a better job with juvenile offenders, so that I can expand on that if necessary, but that's where we're at. We need to do intake, we need to do it faster, and hopefully we could get people out of juvenile quicker. Again, I think getting people out of the jail and out of juvenile detention center are cost-saving measures in and of themselves. But again, I think juvenile would probably be my priority. Then the pretrial diversion program would be the thing I don't have the data yet. We're working on that data. I know Jarvis explained to you guys. We've got Baylor coming in trying to do a actual cost analysis on what we are bringing in. We intend to increase or begin charging a fee to utilize that program, which has been wildly successful. And again, it goes towards this kind of this measured criminal justice reform, as opposed to what we're seeing in the big cities where we're seeing recall elections for DAs who aren't doing things. We are trying to do a measured response to just criminal justice reform. So trying to find low-level offenders and fix those folks early, get them the help they need, and not put them in the system and not jail them. I mean, those are the rational reasons that we're asking for those two positions. I understand that, that Jarvis prioritized, I believe, in that order, which was the new positions, followed by the juvenile prosecutor, followed by the pretrial, or the basically pretrial diversion individuals. So that would be the rational basis for what we're asking those positions for. I can answer more specific questions.
On the juvenile?
Yes, sir.
I read an article, and maybe I misunderstood this, and I'd like to be corrected on this, but that the catalytic converter theft, that a lot of those thefts are involving juvenile offenders, and that it's very challenging for the DA's office to prosecute or pursue those, that we're basically just allowing that to happen, releasing those people that we catch in Brazos County stealing catalytic converters. Is that a part of the juvenile problem, that you don't have enough people to pursue those cases?
I don't think that's a fair assessment in terms of the catalytic converter. What we've found with catalytic converters is that they are being stolen in mass amounts. I think the article, and I didn't see it, but I know that Jarvis was interviewed for it, is that we don't have any way to identify a ton of those to who they actually were stolen from. If our victims do not identify or reach out and say that they've had their catalytic converter stolen, and we cannot identify it to a victim, that has created issues in prosecution.
So would more people help with that?
I don't believe that that's I think what you're talking about right now is not a DA issue in terms of letting that happen. It is that we are not having prosecutable cases brought to us. And I don't fault the police for that. I think we have found ways now where we can try those cases without identifying the specific person. It's just a way that has not been tried, nor do we know is completely legally on all fours, but we found cases that would support the idea that we could do unknown victim if we find somebody in possession of 10 catalytic converters, right?
Thank you.
In terms of juveniles, I think we are having that, but they're just bands of people that are coming in, and a lot of those may not even be local. We're having people that are coming in from Houston, and again, I think the overarching thing that you guys are doing here, whether that be deputies or not, is keeping this community from becoming Harris County, right? And that is, as we invest in criminal justice and we invest in this, it's a quality of life decision that we make so that we don't put glass barriers at our convenience stores, which is, I think, what we all want to avoid, right? I never know if I'm safe in Harris County because they have a glass barrier. I think, am I about to get robbed? So, again, I don't know if I answered you, sir, but I think we've got ways to prosecute those cases. I don't know if I'm not going to try to lie to you and say that a juvenile prosecutor would specifically help with catalytic converters.
Thank you.
The people who buy the catalytic converters had a registry, so they, or some way to, if the catalytic converters were marked, like, what is it, that the other thing that used to get stolen all the time?
Some kind of a identification number.
I've attempted
Serial numbers.
to mark one, but
Oh,
because
no,
those
it's too
things
hot.
operate at such high temperatures,
I know, I had mine
there's
stolen.
painted on or put on marking that you
Oh,
can
I
do
got a
that. I mean,
tire
that, by the
marking.
nature of the beast, they're
Oh, yeah.
I
Almost.
keep thinking if you could figure out either the car dealerships or somebody would, if you brought it in for an oil change, they'd figure out how to mark it. That would be a brilliant way to do things,
Yeah.
right? Like for $5 extra, we'll
Yeah,
mark
we'll
your
mark
catalytic
it for you.
converter, and you can
Or stamp it with your
stamp it with your
the
license
VIN
plate number
or the VIN number.
or VIN number, whatever. I mean, I just think those would be ways that would help us in the long run.
We painted mine in case there's anybody thinking they're going to take it.
So the really weird painted one is the one we'll know it's yours.
That one's mine.
Does that I'm glad. I'll be here the whole time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks.
Do we want to go into executive session for any?
to discuss that sheriff's department issue. Is that what you're suggesting?
Possible.
Yeah.
I will.
What is, just another figure to go into the pile. What is a 1% COLA?
1% COLA. Let's see, 3. It was $500,000. About $500,000.
500,000. Okay. Well, when on the patrol position that we've talked about, is
No, it's not
less than 4
prioritized. Well,
going to be functional? Or since you have 4 shifts, is it
Necessary.
better to do it all or none?
We could prioritize, Commissioner. We'd probably prioritize those to the night shift. Obviously, day shift, Monday through Friday operations, you have a lot of support staff around the office that can help if the need arises.
Okay. So functionality would be better with less than 4. 4 would be optimal.
Correct.
Okay. Yep. All right. Yeah, no, let's go through all the positions, and then I think an executive session might be beneficial after we go through all the positions, if that's all right with y'all.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
well, okay.
Is it?
So what we've added, what we've prioritized, is, what did I say, 12 positions?
Mhm.
Do we want to continue to prioritize?
Tell me one more time, we want to keep that priority, is that what you're saying?
No, do we want to continue to prioritize? Have we picked out the ones that we feel like need serious consideration? And after that, any of the unprioritized ones would not be budgeted? Are we ready to say that? Or are we ready, or do we want to continue prioritizing? The only way, I mean, it depends on how much you want to spend. We'll have to get down to that.
Right.
Why don't you
I mean,
read
'cause
us the
it's-
list one more time of the that we haven't got to, or we're
Okay.
not, so far we have not prioritized in this.
I mean, because the total request for all the positions is 2.7. And so
New
that's
positions, including COLA.
including COLA and benefits. It's there on the bottom of the list right now.
And you already said yes to the reclassifications, which was another 2 million.
So we're up to
Estimated.
4.7.
That, you said yes to that, 395, keep on scrolling down. That.
We haven't talked about that one.
Handling the district attorney's grants. And there's the grant total. Okay, 751.
scared me.
Oh, no. I just know the total request was 4.1, and so y'all pretty much said yes to 751,000.
We still have the 2 district attorney positions, the justice of the peace positions. I feel like we've prioritized the sheriff's office patrol positions, and the background investigator and civilian supervisor have not been prioritized. The jail, the 2 new crisis intervention team positions haven't been prioritized. Emergency management, I know you're doing faces, right? Thinking faces and positions. Expo part-time to full-time has been prioritized, but not creating an additional position with 0 funding, only funding the benefits, hasn't been prioritized.
Thought
And the courthouse
we were- I
security.
think
I'm willing to do that.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, me
Because
too.
it's not a,
Is that,
Let's move those above the line.
yeah. So now we're down to DA, JPs, emergency management, courthouse security. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting the county court, the extra associate for the county court law probate guardianship.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got. Okay, the district attorney 3 positions that I see there.
That's
and then
prioritized already.
Okay, and then the other district attorney positions,
Our 2 new ones.
pretrial diversion and juvenile prosecutor.
Yes.
Okay.
Katie, while we have the DA here, I realize I'm off subject just for a second, but taking a break. On that list of the $5,000 one that you sent us by email,
Mm-hmm.
I only had one question. It's for the DA's office. We had $35,000 for radios, for handheld radios. I'm just wondering what those are for. I'm not saying they're not necessary. I just was trying to understand what they were.
So,
It was only 21,000.
I'm confident I saw 35,000 on that, unless the
Well, unless I went and changed it yet. No.
yeah, maybe it's been changed then. It said handheld radios. Okay, it is
21,000.
21,000, but on the email I promised you it was 35. I'll show you later.
Okay.
I mean,
21,000.
So currently, our investigators, as I understand it, which I'm not sure, I want to caveat this, but we are now currently trying to be looped in with courthouse security to be able to respond to an emergency. We've kind of gotten up and running on that. We have not had our investigators with handheld radios, my understanding, in the past, which has left all of them being former law enforcement feeling naked. I think if you would ask any of these guys, the radio may be one of the most important tools they have to feel like they have the ability to reach out and get support.
So these are for the investigators
Yes, sir.
in the DA's office.
Yes, sir.
And they want to be connected to the.
They would like to have the ability to
Law
connect
enforcement
to law
radios.
enforcement to the network,
Okay.
because they're out.
I know we're just talking
So-
about $21,000 now,
at a
but
time like this, we got to take every penny. They just want to have the ability when they're out serving subpoenas, because we're oftentimes going out and serving gang members.
To know what's going on in the area.
To just be looped in with, is something active going on, or can they reach out?
and we have 4 investigators,
Yes, sir.
so it's $5,000. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Well, to go